Well, hello everyone. This is Twyla. I am an author, speaker, radio host, and life coach. Coach Twyla, the Get Your Happy Back Divorce Coach. Thank you so very much for tuning in on tonight. So today's show is the challenges of divorce with special needs. Do you or anyone you know have special needs children and have experienced divorce? Divorce is already a very challenging time, right? And for some, it's a very emotional roller coaster experience. I know for me, definitely it was 14 years ago. So today, we hope to provide some encouragement to those that are in this space. So let's just jump in. I'd like to welcome my special guest to the show, Miss Mary Ann Hughes. She is a special needs divorce coach. Hello, Miss Mary Ann. Thank you for being here with me today.
Hello, Twyla. I'm so happy to be here today. I'm so excited for our show.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, my goodness. So why don't you, Mary Ann, introduce yourself to the listening audience, and we'll just dive right into our discussion on tonight.
Oh, wonderful. I appreciate you playing that I Will Survive song because that's one of my theme songs.
Yeah.
Anyone going through divorce knows it's a difficult time. You don't know how you're going to come out of it, but you know what? I came out, I survived, and I am thriving. I'm so happy to be able to talk about my experience and how I came through it and how there is life and light at the other side and how I'm now helping other people to get there too. And
Yes,
so my,
yes.
yeah, so my story is that I was married for about 21 years. I've got two beautiful, wonderful boys now. One just turned 19 and one is 20, and they're lovely boys, but they have autism. And I don't define them by that, but that is a condition that they were diagnosed with when they were each about 2 years old. And it wasn't something that I envisioned for my life. My husband and I at the time, we didn't see our life going that way, but that's what God had in plan for us. And, I love my boys dearly and they love me and they're the sweetest things ever. And so it is challenging raising a special needs family, being a part of special needs family. Your life is not like any other, family. Every special needs family and every child with autism is unique in their own way. And you just got to do the best you can with what you have and do the best you can for them to have the best life possible. And that's what I thought we were doing. And so it kind of became as a shock to me when after over 20 years of marriage, I was facing divorce. And so I really had to focus on my children. I couldn't really take the time to feel sorry for myself and be depressed and close myself away. I had to take care of my children. They depended on me. They wanted to, they had to be safe and fed and made to feel like they were loved and not alone, especially after the transition that we were faced with. And so I'm proud to say that it was a long journey, but we ended up with a great result. I fought real hard for getting what was right for them, and I'm happy to say that we got there. It was a long process. My divorce took over 2 years. I even ended up having to go to trial, which is very rare in divorce cases, but it was something I had to do for my family, and I'm proud that I did it, and I found the strength to take it all the way to where it needed to go. But I'm happy with the result we got, and we're doing great now.
Yes. Wow. What an amazing story. And I'm definitely very familiar with autism, Marianne. I have a cousin that's autistic, and he's in his 30s now. And so he was diagnosed I think he was about 4 or 5. So, yes, I definitely understand it's very challenging. And so not to even mention a special needs child, but also going through divorce. So my hat's off to you that you and your boys recovered from that divorce. And so what I want to do is also, if you would share a little bit about what you do as far as your life coach as well as your business.
Sure. Yeah. So through my process, it was extremely stressful. It was very time consuming, very expensive, having to go through, years and years of trying to find something that worked for my family, trying to research what was going to be right for them, what I needed to accept for them and work for them as part of the divorce, because there's special things you've got to consider when you've got a special needs child so that they'll get what they need and then not lose benefits in the future. So you have to get the right documents in place, the right legal things, the right planning, and the decree has to be written such a way that it'll last a long time and not be at risk of losing their eligibility for benefits in the future. So it was a real passion project for me to make sure that I got it right. And so that's, so it was a very, very difficult time. And so I felt like there was no one I could go to. I tried to find attorneys and planners, and it was real hard to find people who had experience in special needs. And so this is a very common problem with special needs families. The number I've heard, is about 80% of special needs families go through divorce. And so there really needs to be resources out there to help them. And I felt like no one else should have to go through what I went through and have to recreate the wheel. So I decided to form a business called Special Family Transitions. And what I do is I help families with special needs children who are facing divorce. And so there's so much to consider. And so, I can work with each client and what they need. And eventually I want to do some group things. But for right now, I take each client as to what their situation is, what their goals are, and try to help them through the process. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a psychologist, but I do give them advice or help them to think about things and consider different ideas about working with their lawyers and things that they need to put together so that they're in the best position to get what they need to do and where they need to be for their family, so that their children can get the benefits and outcome that they need to live and succeed in life.
Wow. Yes, that is so true. And see, what you went through in your experience, Marianne, is helping other people, and that's what life is all about. We don't go through things in life just for ourselves. It's all for a purpose and a reason, right? To help others. And just me, myself, 14 years ago when I went through a divorce, never would I thought I would have become a divorce coach. And now I have a talk show, radio show here talking about all things divorce. So it's all to help other people, because I don't know about you, Marianne, but did you feel alone? I think you just mentioned you didn't feel like you had a support or there was things out there for special needs families. And divorce alone, you can feel isolated, but I'm sure that just added more fuel to your fire as it relates to where do you go and who can help me. I have 2 special needs children, married for 21 years. My ex-husband or soon-to-be ex walks out, whatever. So I can only imagine how you felt during that time. Can you speak and elaborate about to the listeners on, in that moment, how did you feel?
First, I thought, is this temporary? Is this where we're going? Is this something that we can work out? And so for a longest time, I really didn't share my situation except for very few people. I thought, well, maybe you'll get better, and maybe with counseling, so I didn't seek the help right away. But when I saw the direction that we were heading in, and that was the end result that we were facing, I had to make some tough decisions, and I had to go out and find those resources. And I was part of some Facebook groups, some special needs organizations. So I tried really hard to find lawyers who are familiar with the process, and I ended up going to a conference where I found a special needs financial planner. And so I was able to pull together some people to at least start the process with and try to figure out what I needed to do. And I still saw there were some things missing, so that I had to get additional resources and experts, and bringing another lawyer on board as well. Because as I found, there are several different intricacies in special needs divorce, and even though some people say they have experience, really they haven't dealt maybe with specific autism or what it takes to plan for the future. And so I had to make sure that I dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's, and had all my ducks in a row, because this was a big thing for me. My kids were not young, but even going through the transition stage in their life. They'd be out of high school soon, and then what would happen? There's very few programs for kids with autism, and unless you've got government benefits, which even those you're not assured to get or to keep, the programs are very hard to find and very expensive, and not everybody is eligible for them in terms of their ability. So my older son had so many needs that the places that I did have to research and look at, he wasn't even a candidate for those things. And so, I really had to figure out, how am I going to live and survive? Because I had worked previously before I had kids, but when my kids were born and with with their needs, I ended up staying home. And my husband at the time, he had a great job, so we were able to live like that, where I took care of their needs and everything I had to do to be a special needs mom. And he was out there, supporting the family, and then helping out as well, because it's not a one-person job to take care of a special needs child, or two for that matter. So it was definitely a team effort. And so after he left, I was basically doing most of that on my own.
Wow.
So, I had to figure out how to do that. And so I guess to answer your question, the first thing you got to realize is that you do need to count on people and rely on people and ask for help.
Yes.
And to take care of yourself, I think that's one of the biggest things as any parent really, and especially a special needs parent, is that they put their own needs last. And I know I sure did. Mm-hmm. And so I saw that self-care really is important. And throughout my marriage, I put myself last. And after the separation, I realized that really wasn't the way to go, obviously, because here I was, and it was challenging. So I focused more on me at that time and do what I had to do for me to be healthy, and started working out, eating healthier, and kind of got in a better frame of mind. And then I was able to do more for my children. So there's an expression, you can't pour from an empty cup. So you got to take care of yourself first, and then you can take care of others. And so I see the value in that now. Back then, people say, "Oh, you got to take care of yourself and have time for yourself." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't have time." But you got to make the time. I think that's really important. I think it's good to stress for anybody, married, not married, whatever your case may be. Just be sure to take time for yourself so you can take care of others.
That is so true. Oh my gosh, Marianne, I am so enjoying our conversation. And what we're going to do, we're going to take a couple of minute break, and we'll be right back with more of our special guest, Miss Mary Ann Hughes, and we're going to dive deeper into this conversation. So we'll be right back, folks. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. We are back from our break, and let's dive deeper with Miss Mary Ann Hughes. So, Mary Ann, thank you so much for sharing a lot of your background story, but we may have some listeners out here wanting to know, how did you overcome the challenges that you were faced with during that time in your life?
Yeah, so I'd say really the thing in divorce is, even though it's a difficult time, it's an emotional and trying time, you've got to remember divorce in itself is really a legal and financial transaction. If you can think about it that way, you realize you've got to have a goal and you want to work towards that goal. And so even though you're hurt, even though it's not what you wanted, at the end of the day, you've got to look at this as something that hopefully is a one-time thing, and you've got to come out with the best outcome you can. And so I took as much as a positive approach as I could. I'm a positive person anyway, but I tried to see this is my purpose right now, to get the best outcome I can for me and for my children. And so even though there were a lot of things going on in the divorce and in my situation, really my main focus was making sure that my kids would get what they needed as the end result. And that's what kept me going. And so you've got to really think about your goal. What is it that you want, and how do you want to get there? And so a lot of times, all of the things you might have to do and everything you've got to consider and how you're feeling, it's all overwhelming. But to really deal with the overwhelm, you got to make a plan and just take one step at a time. It's not going to happen all at one time. And, if you have a good team, good lawyer, good financial help, whatever you might need, good therapist, if you need to go to therapy. I did some of that. I did some group divorce support, and that was really helpful, just to know you're not alone out there, and the people you can rely on will help you and support you in all the ways that you need. So for sure. And I would say, don't rush into any decisions. Don't feel pressure just because you want to get this over with. The way my situation was, and plus COVID didn't help. Oh, wow. But that kind of provided me an opportunity to kind of go through the grieving process. And the whole thing is, you go through a grief cycle during divorce, even though at the time you're not realizing it. So just take your time, think about each phase that you're in, stay positive, stay strong, take care of yourself, and just remain as calm as possible, even though you may want to, or punch something, but that's not really going to get you anywhere. So do what you have to do to get your frustrations out if you need to go work out or whatever it is. But
Yes.
then just remember you're there to get, to get what you need at the end of the day. And that's the approach I took.
Yes, I love that. Oh my gosh. And so let's talk about this theme song we just listened to, folks, Rise by Katy Perry. And let me just give you some of the lyrics. And Marianne, then I'd like you to chime in and just talk to the listeners about how much of an inspiration this song was for you during your divorce process. So I'm going to quote these lyrics verbatim, folks. I won't just survive. Oh, you will see me thrive. Can't write my story. I won't just conform, no matter how you shake my core. 'Cause my roots, they run deep. Oh my gosh, isn't that so powerful? Now listen, Marianne, you got to talk to us about these lyrics. What inspired you after listening to this song? That's inspiring, and she's not even singing it. Katy Perry's not even singing it. I just quoted it, and the words are powerful.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, that was my theme song during my divorce. I kind of found it by accident, and that was a song I played before my mediation. That was a song I played when I needed some encouragement, and that was a song I played right before my trial. And I tell you, that song, it motivated me, it kept me going, and there's some other great lyrics in there, and one of the ones I like is through the madness and chaos, I call on my angels.
Oh.
And they say, you've so little faith, don't doubt it, victory's in your veins, and you will not negotiate, just fight it, and you will be transformed. I took out a couple of the repetitive words, but basically that's the message. And, know that this is there's a higher power that is looking out for you sometimes, and, whatever you may believe. But
Right.
I felt like, I had, I had help, and I was, here for a purpose, and I was going to, do what I could on my own, but I also had help from above and people around me. So,
Yes.
know that, I got some great advice from people. Don't give in right away. Just, fight for what you need. And not that I don't believe in trying to negotiate, because I tried doing that, but when it didn't go the way I had hoped, I was left no choice but to fight for what was right for my children. And I'm happy that, as they say, victory is in your veins, and it did work out very much for my children's favor. So I'm happy about that.
Awesome. That is awesome. Amazing. So, Marianne, what were some of the things that you feel like you learned about yourself during the process?
Yeah, so, for the longest time, like I said, I was, kind of just at home, a stay-at-home mom, and really didn't think about, having a career again. And so this reminded me of what a strong person I am, and that I'm capable of a lot. And so now, here I am, having my own business, which I've never done before. So, I kind of, from the ground up, have started this business. I've gone through trainings. I'm now certified as a life coach. I've gone through a certified divorce specialist training. I'm part of a group called the NADP, the National Association of Divorce Professionals. And these are very, hard things sometimes to get into. And so I had to prove myself and work towards, my new goal. So even, as soon as I was done with my divorce, every day, since then, I've been working on self-improvement. I've been working on doing things for my business every day. I take a little step forward, and, I'm not, huge by any means at this point, but I'm making, little strides and steps at a time to one day, impact more and more people. And I think it's so important that people in this area get the help that they need and they deserve. And everyone that I've reached out to and heard my story, and they're just so happy and excited. And I get people calling and like, "Oh, Marianne," even the few conversations I've had, with them, it offers them so much hope and assistance. So I'm so happy that I can take my experience, which was really difficult and not something I would have wished on anybody, but it's, I've turned it into a positive and out there to help other people now. So I'm really excited about that.
That is awesome, amazing. Yes, and you're so right. We turn our bad experiences into a positive to help other people. You just hit the nail on the head. And so let's talk more about that. So When obviously when you were going through it, and let's just have some conversation about our experiences, and myself included. I went through this horrible divorce, and my children were both minors. We had one child together, and it was just a daunting, oh my gosh, process. The whole thing. I know I didn't go to trial, but oh my gosh, it was horrible. And so for me, Marianne, more so after the divorce was final, that's when things, and I know you and I had this conversation, but that's when things changed. Oh, I thought he was trying to make me lose my mind. I think he was at some point. So for about 2.5, 3 years, the struggle for me and my children, it was awful. We had to completely change everything we did. I mean, from changing our church to me taking my son out of football, the team that he loved to play with and had played with them for years because of the situation and things that were going on. So let's put a pin there. So if anyone is listening, sometimes it's inevitable that you can remain and keep everything the same as it was as you were married. It's some changes are going to have to take place. Miriam, would you agree with me on that?
Sure. And our situation is different,
Right.
and I'm sorry everything that you had to go through. I think what was harder for me was pre-divorce, and I guess after the divorce is kind of when things maybe settled down for me, and especially because of my business, then it gave me a new focus.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that, I'm not sure what I'd be doing, even though my kids still take a lot of time. So I had to have something that allows me to balance, my professional and family needs. Even my son will ask me, the one who can, talk and communicate more. She'll say, Mommy, what's more important, us or your business? Because he sees me that I'm doing things and he's proud of me and excited for me.
Yeah.
But still, he knows that I'm there to be there and take care of him. So, that's a challenge to, figure out, how to make sure that your kids' needs are met while also, as a single mom trying to go out there and do what I need to do to keep my children, in a good position in the future. So everything I do, of course, I do for them. They're my reason, they're my why as to why I do this. And this is so I don't have to worry about their future at all in case, something goes wrong in the future, something happens to their benefits or whatever it might be. So I've got to be in a position to where they know they can count on me for whatever they need, whether it's emotional, financial, or any kind of need.
Yes.
And so relationships change, with your ex-spouse and everything else. But, I guess when I knew people before who were divorced, I envisioned it as like, you get divorced, but you still get along and do things. Well, reality, not all families, their divorce works out that way. And so I'd love for it one day for us to, be able to do things together. But right now, that's not the way it is. And I just try to keep it as professional and civil a basis as we all can.
Right.
And I think at some point you have to learn to let go of the hurt and the things that cause a divorce and just focus on the future. Because if you keep focusing on what happened in the past, you're never going to be able to live your life. And so that's the attitude that I try to go with now, is that, whatever happened in the past is in the past. And not that I ever envisioned that for my life. Never did I ever think I'd get divorced. That wasn't, I never had divorce as an option for me. My parents were married till my dad passed away. They were married for 49 years, until he died. So divorce wasn't something on my radar.
Yeah.
And so to have to deal with that, was difficult at first, but I've got nothing but support from people I know, my family, friends. And, some people have an idea of divorce that it's a negative thing, it's a taboo subject, but, I don't think it's like that anymore. Or at least I didn't feel it for me. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't open up in the first place about it. But, once I did, I had nothing but encouragement and support. And I was really happy about that and appreciate that from everybody.
Yes, that is so imperative, Marianne. Support, good support when you're going through a divorce. So that is awesome that you had that. And for me as well, I had some support and, but I was very selective on who I shared information with. And I'm not sure if you experienced that yourself, but and the reason for that if we have anyone asking or wondering why, I just didn't feel comfortable sharing with some people. Sometimes when you're going through a situation, especially as traumatic as divorce, you don't really need people in your circle to talk negative. Oh my gosh, I didn't like him anyway, or I didn't like her anyway, or something like that, because you're already dealing with so much, right? Or I told you not to marry, or those kind of things, the negative comments. So I just stayed around people that I knew that had my best interests and would pour positive things into my life and give me affirmations like, Twyla, it's going to be okay. It might be a journey, it might be a struggle, but you're going to make it through this. And so, and you said something, Marianne, I want to talk about too, where you said it's not like that for everyone, meaning after a divorce, not everyone is BFFs with their ex-spouses. And that's just not the reality for everyone. If that is your reality, that is wonderful. I'm glad it works that way for you, but it definitely wasn't and still isn't mine. And I've been divorced 14 years. My son is grown. He's 22. And I really just don't have the desire. But we never did the Christmas vacations together and all of that stuff. I hear these amazing stories. Some people are better friends after a divorce than they were when they were married. So that's awesome if that works for you. That's great. So, yeah, what I want to talk about is now that you went through, Marianne, what you went through and overcame those things, and now let's talk about more about your business and how you got started with that. I know because of the experience, what you went through, but were you afraid, or you just knew that was a calling that you felt God had for you at that time because of what you went through?
Yeah, I can't remember how the seed was initially planted, but I'm kind of a planner, and as my ex used to say, I've always got to have a project.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of, yeah. And so, you know what, this became my project, this divorce, and doing everything I had to do, doing my homework, doing my research, and getting the best people out there to help me and working my case. That was my project, and that was my life. I mean, taking care of my kids too, right. But while they're in school, and in the evenings, I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and up at, who knows what hour in the morning, doing this when I wasn't taking care of them because it was so important to me. And so it's kind of a funny story. Even during our trial, my ex's attorney even said, well, have you thought about doing this for a living or something to that effect? Like, because he saw how, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but, I guess he wasn't probably impressed with how I was handling my situation and all the information I had, that I guess even he saw that I could provide value and service to other people. And so, yeah, I kind of, had this in the back of my mind, and, like I said, I had to get through my process first, but as soon as I was done with that, I was thinking of company names and, figure out how to start a business and what I would do. And I'm still going through that process, trying to figure exactly what it's going to look like in the future. But I just really saw a need out there. Mm-hmm. I wanted to see how I could take everything that I had been through. It's like I've spent so much money. I won't even tell you how much on the air, but, I spent tons of money. It's like I've got to, this wasn't for nothing. I mean, obviously it wasn't, because it was for my children. But, it's bigger than that. It was not just me going through this. Like I said, it's everybody has to deal with this. And hopefully there's a nod to take care of my kids. And that's what I did. And so, yeah, I was in there with a mission. Part of it was me. I do have a business background. And so I'm kind of always thinking along those lines as well. And I haven't, like I said, I haven't worked in 20 years and didn't even know what I would do. And, this opportunity for a business, came up, and this is what, I feel my passion and my calling is now.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
And you're definitely right. And I love the business name, Special Family Transitions. It fits. And when I hear that, it comes to mind like something with special needs children, and how do you transition from something that you may have gone through. So it definitely fits, and I love it. So Yeah, Marianne, how are your boys now? I know you said you were married 21 years and they're 19 and 20, right?
Right.
And you've been divorced now a couple of years?
Well, it took over 2 years, but
Two
just this
years.
past year is when divorce finally got final. So yeah, this is kind of a new thing that
Yeah.
I'm doing and working on building my practice. I do some one-on-one coaching. I have a couple of clients, and what I do as
Mm-hmm.
well, I have a YouTube channel just to provide some tips and advice to people, share some experiences. I have a Facebook page where I kind of post some things, and I want to get more and more active on my social media. But for now, I got to start somewhere. This is
Yeah.
all new to me. I haven't done this before, and I've been starting a Facebook group as well, private group for those who want to share more information and get more resources. So I've got that, and I have my website. So all that's can be found on my website, specialfamilytransitions.com.
Yeah.
And Instagram is how we met. So that's kind of
Yes.
been it's amazing. So through that, I met so many great people, and people really with this kind of calling as well. So I think I've learned that it's people for whatever they've been through, they find a way to turn that around and help other people. I even listened to a different interview today on a different show about a Lord and what she's been through and what she does now for people because she was touched by divorce and
Yeah.
she's trying to make a difference too. So yeah, I think everybody has a reason for what they do. I think to be a coach and a therapist, you've got to be, have a drive for that and a passion for that. And that's where I am on that.
That's right. That's right. That's so true. So, how are your boys? Are they doing well now with everything? I know you're post divorce, and I just know when we had our first conversation that you were passionate about what you do, and that's what Divorce Talk with Twyla show is all about. Bring people on to make a difference in the lives of so many that have experienced divorce, and so. My hope and prayer is that your boys are doing well.
Well, they're doing well. I mean, it's not easy. And,
Yeah.
that's what special needs families is. It's not like, once you're 18, then you're done. I mean,
No.
my kids require lifelong care and support. And so, it's not like, okay, you're done with your divorce, your kids are 18, you don't have to see your ex again or deal with them. Well, I'm going to have to deal with him, for a long, long time to come because that's just how it is. I can't do it myself, and I certainly hope he wants to stay in the picture as well.
Yeah.
And so yeah, they spend time with their dad, and I wish it was more, but
Yeah.
that's the way it is. But yeah, so I think they spend time with their dad. They have me. They know I'm here for them all the time. This is where they live, and yeah, they know. They know I'm here for them no matter what. And so, yeah, they're doing well. I mean, granted, it was hard at first, and we still have some hard moments.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my sons really doesn't like to talk about it still. And yeah, I think that's the thing I want to focus on as well is in the future. I'm in a program also now called Lone Star Lend. So I'm a fellow in this autism leadership education program. And so my hope is to find ways to help children through this process because honestly, for my kids, there really wasn't much out there. One of my sons, he was, his autism is pretty severe, and so there wasn't a therapist I could find that really could or was willing to work with him.
Wow.
And so on my own, I had to try to what they call create social stories and find ways to help him deal with the situation.
Wow.
And for my other son, we did find a therapist that he could talk to, but still, I think he still needs some counseling, some support, because there's some things maybe he won't talk about with me. Maybe I'm not the best person to help guide him, in those areas. Because still, it's a lot of anxiety, even though, everyone's, on the surface is doing fine. I think it still affects us all for, definitely. I mean, I know, like I said, I kind of had to gloss over my, my hurt and things to focus on my kids. But, I mean, I'm in a much better place. I think we all are. But still, I don't know that you ever totally get over it.
Yeah, yeah. And some people, I agree, some people don't because it's so traumatic. And that's a whole nother show. Maybe I'll bring you back and we talk about that piece in and of itself. So, Mary Ann, the discussion has been amazing. I've enjoyed it. And like I said, I can definitely relate as it relates to a family member. Of course, not my kid, but my cousin. And he, unfortunately, my aunt, his mother passed away several years ago. And he now lives with my uncle, who is his legal guardian. And because my uncle at the time was my aunt's caregiver. And so he developed a relationship with my uncle, and that was her wishes before she passed away, for her son to live with my uncle. But knowing my cousin, he has to have things a certain way, and if there's change, he freaks out. And I guess that's something with autism children. It has to be routine, and he wakes up at 7, he brushes his teeth, just A, B, C, D all the way through the course of the day at the same time. And so he's doing well. He does talk now, but he didn't used to talk at all. So he's a little better. I would say a lot better than he used to be. So my whole family, this was the first time we had ever experienced it. We didn't know anything about autism. He was the first one in our family to be diagnosed with autism. So
right, and
yeah,
exactly. That's it. Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, glad he's in place now, but yeah, they're always going to need care. I've got one of my sons. He will never be independent. One of them, the other one, I think with support, he's able to do a lot. Mm-hmm. But the other one, from cooking to eating to self-help and bathing and everything, he needs help. And so, your point about them, having a hard time with change, that is very true, and wanting the routine. And that's why, with divorce, it was so, sudden that one day dad's there and one day he's not. And so, how do you explain that to a child with autism? It's hard. So my advice, if you are in that situation, you are thinking about divorce or you see it coming, as much as you can, try to prepare the child if you're able to. If you know it's coming, think where the parents can work together to make it as smooth a transition as possible for the child. Yeah. Because we were adults and we can deal with what we have to deal with, but it's not fair to the children to not know what's happening. They got to know, what to expect, what's happening in their home, and what the future is going to look like, and where they might be in the future. And so I created what they call social story, and I had Dad send me pictures of where they were going to be, so at least I could create like a little, description for them as to what their room was going to look like. They would be, and so it wouldn't be all brand new when they showed up, in another place and had to sleep there. Right. Even though we hotels and vacations, but it was together as a family. This was different. And so, you asked about friends and sharing. I'm a pretty private person. And so the first night they were away from me, spending with Dad, it was hard. And, luckily some of the neighborhood ladies, they took me out and, we had a nice dinner. So I had something to take my mind off of that. But, you get used to it now. And now it's, it's just a time that, I'm able to either get things done or enjoy, time to myself, because before you never have time off. Right. So that's one of the bright sides, if you got to have a bright side, right? Of the situations that you do have time then to focus on you, even though really they're always on your mind and you're always doing things for them. But we're all doing better now. And
that's awesome.
And like, I didn't share my story with everybody, but the ones I did share it with, and I did find people who were going through a similar situation, I think. So I think we were supporting each other as well. I think it's helpful to find someone going through something similar and share and relate and give each other advice. So for sure, I'd recommend finding someone to talk to, whether it's a friend or therapist or someone that you can rely on and get some for sure.
Yes. So great. So, Mary Ann, as we wrap up, if you would like to go ahead and share your contact information to the listeners who may want to reach out for help. We have so many listeners, and there may be somebody that is in the same space. So if you share your contact info at this time.
Sure. My email address is Maryann, that's one word, MARYANN, at specialfamilytransitions.com. And so it's my website also is www.specialfamilytransitions with an S.com, all one word. And that's also the name of my YouTube channel and my Facebook page and Instagram. And one day I'll be on TikTok, not quite there yet.
Don't feel bad. I'm not either. So
trying to get out there and outside my comfort zone, but I'm there to reach people, and I do free consultations. So feel free to reach out if you got a question I can try to help you with. Get you some resources that you might need. So there's plenty of people out there who can help, and I can try to connect you with people either in your area. And so the way things are now, on the doing things online, I'm happy to help out people no matter where they are and do coaching and whatever else they might need. So I'm happy to help out. So appreciate your time and everybody's time tonight and sharing my story. And I really enjoyed our conversation.
Yes, same here. So, folks, you have Miss Mary Ann Hughes' contact information. Please reach out to her if you are in need of her services. So, yes, Mary Ann, thank you so much for being with me today. I truly enjoyed our conversation, and I believe it has been an inspiration to so many. And your story just alone, to go through what you went through and to birth a business, to help other people, you're passionate about it. And as you stated, it's your calling, and I believe so as well. So thank you all so much for listening. And listen, if you're in this space, it's my hope and prayer that something was shared today to inspire and encourage you on this divorce recovery journey.